Hey guys, welcome back to Rocket Gyan, my fellow space tubers. And yes, I am back. And yes, I am here with another bang. And this time it is Antares. This is going to be launched from the North Virginia island of the Wallops. And we are going to have, you can say, a farewell launch for the Antares because this variant of Antares, that is Antares 230 plus, is going to be the last one uh, to be flying today to the International Space Station. So yes, we are here back again, and hopefully we'll have a very good farewell to this cute little rocket. Not a, I would say little, but still it's kind of little in comparison to other rockets. So yeah. So hi everyone, hi space enthusiasts. So nice to see you. Yes, I am back, and it feels amazing to be back again. Hi Louis Smith, how are you? So after so long, right? Yes. Hi Wildflower, and yes, hey Marcus, hey David, how are you? Watching from Boston, that is great. Okay, so we'll have a lot of discussion about this rocket and about what all things uh, we can see in the future. Hey Scott, how are you? So let's have a look at this rocket itself, and we will have, like, A to Z. I mean A to Z things that you will need to know about this rocket, about this launch, about this mission. Okay, so don't you worry about it. Just sit back and relax, and I'm here to take care. And let's just go on to the last ride of Antares rocket. Okay, so first of all, this rocket is a very unique design itself. So and the reason, first of all, let me tell you why this is like the last launch of this Antares 230 plus. This is because the first stage of this Antares comes from the Ukraine, and since you all know this Russia Ukraine fight and all those things, when it happened, when the first time when the war begins, the ironically, only one thing which came to my mind at that point of time, the first thing was the Antares future. And yes, it was dangling around. So finally we have got some confirmation that they are discontinuing with this rocket. But this is the only this variant 230 plus which they are discontinuing. They will be having another one, that is 330 variant, and I'll talk about that also. But first of all, let's talk about this mission. So this rocket, what do we have? So we have typically two stages, the stage 1 and the stage 2. Stage 1 is powered by dual AJ20. This is a older one. Let's just, so the stage 1 is powered by two RD-181 engines with independent thrust vectoring. So this RD-181 engines were actually coming in from the Ukraine, and we have it runs on RP1 and LOX as its fuel. So this is, like, was the major bottleneck for this. And if you are wondering how they acquired these engines in the first place when the war is still happening, well, they already had a deal with them, and they already had their all engines acquired. And this is, like, one of those things which people plan in advance. For the ULA also, their Atlas rockets are running on those Russian engines, and they also have acquired all the engines which they had in the contract already. So it does not matter for them of this war and all those things. So that's a good thing, right? So the first stage is powered by RD-181 engine, runs on liquid oxygen and kerosene as its fuel. Thrust it produces at sea level is around 3844 kilonewton, and it is a very efficient engine. Around 313 is the ISP for the sea level engines. And this one is what should I say, it has gimbaling on both of the engines. So that is it, the thrust vectoring is there on both of the engines, and because of that, the roll control as well as the pitch yaw is controlled by that. So this is that. Then the second stage is actually is dependent on various factors. For today, it is they are going with the Castor 30XL solid motor. So it's very kind of uh, um, unconventional, I would say, because most of the time the final stage is supposed to be a liquid only. Right now, the rockets which are flying and are having the final stage as the solid rocket is only the Antares, and now it is also going away. But still, the 330 version will also have the second stage intact, so we don't need to worry about it. And then we have the third stage also, which is an optional one. uh, we for today's mission we are not having a third stage, so we only are having the Cygnus spacecraft in it. And yes, so this is pretty much about the rocket, and hope you had a clarity about this one. So talking about 230 plus, so this configuration means two engines which it is going with, two RD-181 engines. 330 means the 30 cast 30 like that Castor 30 XL, which is coming up with the second stage, and plus means the XL version of Castor it is taking. So this is the naming convention which it follows. So I hope we have a clarity about this rocket itself. Now let's come and have a look at the Cygnus spacecraft. So Cygnus spacecraft itself is kind of unique. So let me just tell you that in excitement only, I totally forgot. So this mission is going to International Space Station. It is not launching any satellites, and this is another one of those cargo resupply missions which we have. And so when if you have shortage of supplies, what do? You go to your supermarket in your car and buy those stuff, right? But in ISS there is no supermarket nearby, right? You literally have to deliver all the groceries and all the stuff that the astronauts need over there via kind of a car that is the rocket for them. And the Cygnus spacecraft is one of those car which is going with all those supplies which crew need, as well as science activities, science equipment, and all lot of things which it has. So this is basically this was a contract between Northrop Grumman and NASA to fulfill the orbital resupply missions to have a certain capability in space. So this Cygnus ships consist of a service module, if you see here. So this is a very kind of a simple spacecraft. So we have a service module here. This is the one service module takes care of all the propulsion needs, as well as the pressurization needs, as well as the electrical needs, and all those things. Basically make sure brains and functioning and propulsion, everything is here only. Then we have the this one solar panels, and then we have the pressurized cargo module, which can carry up to 5,952 pounds or 2,700 kilograms payload to the International Space Station. So it can carry quite a lot of things. The capacity is quite huge, and yes, this actually just sums up all the things that we have. So it features an internal volume of around 27 meter cube, and it can have propellants of 800 kilograms with a total liftoff mass which can go up to 8,050 kilograms. So this is not the rocket itself looks very very small, but the thing which it is delivering to the low Earth orbit is very heavy, but still it is able to do that. So kudos to the engines. Basically they are very efficient engines. Okay. So let's move on. So now let's have a look at so this is all about the Cygnus spacecraft as well as the rocket. Now let's have a look at the science which is going to space, right? All the science, interesting science, and all the things that we can learn from the science which is going. So first of all, now you must be wondering, what is this kidney looking thing, right? So this experiment will kind of will test the gene therapy for neurons. So this is from a company called Neuronics, and it is sponsored by the ISS National Lab, which will demonstrate the formation of 3D neuron cell cultures in microgravity and test a neuron specific gene therapy. So gene therapy shows promise as a potential treatment for people with paralysis and neurological diseases, such as, all those people having the Alzheimer's and Parkinson's disease. But the 3D models needed to test these neurons activities cannot be done on Earth's gravity, because what basically they'll do is they will try to construct the 3D cell cultures in the absence of Earth gravity, because in the Earth gravity they can't stack layer above layer, because it will all be compressed down and they can't study it properly. And this is the reason why the organ 3D printing, as well as this research for this 3D cell culture for the neurons one to test the gene therapy, is done in space, because there is no gravity over there. So you can just properly stack your tissues and cells all one on another, and you can properly get a proper tissue. So this is one of those application in space which we can in future maybe have certain things getting our, if somehow our organs are we need a transplant or something, we might get our organs printed in space and coming back to us for the delivery. How cool would that be? Okay, so this is one of those. Next one, this is a very cool one. So this is a fire experiment which will happen upon departure. So this is kind of, a thing which will not happen during the lifetime of Cygnus, when it is birthed to the ISS, International Space Station. But this will happen during once the Cygnus is unberthed. Basically it has undocked from the station and it has gone through to a certain orbit which is away from the International Space Station, because they will literally be playing with fire. They want to test how fire behaves in space. And this is a very, you must be thinking like, this is like, so many studies have been taken place, as well as this is a very common thing to studies. But the problem is we still don't know how the fires would behave in space. And this is a very critical element to study, because fires will always happen in space. And to contain a fire in space, it is a very, very difficult task. The fire actually spreads very rapidly, and it can cause real problems out there. So it's very important to understand the concepts of fire in space, and this is what they'll going to do. So they'll have a flame related experiments that are difficult to conduct on board obviously occupied spacecraft. So this is the spacecraft fire experiment known as Sapphire, which will use the Cygnus resupply craft after it leaves the space station to remove the risk to crew and spacecraft. And this Sapphire 6 is the last of this series, building on previous results to test flammability at different oxygen levels, and to demonstrate fire detection and monitoring, as well as the post-fire cleanup activities. So you can see, right, some of the fires is going down rapidly, whereas some other is going on with their own pace. So this is what they're going to test, the flammability on the different level of oxygens. So this is kind of what their desire is to. So yeah, this is one of those cool experiments again, which is going to space. Next coming up is the this one is the multi-needle Langmuir probe from ESA. Basically, this is going to measure the atmospheric density. So it will kind to you must be wondering how atmosphere is there in space. So we do have an atmosphere. I'm not talking about the very thin aerodynamic drag which satellites experience, but I'm talking about the ionosphere. So that ion's atmosphere we need to monitor. So this will monitor the plasma density in our ionosphere. space station is kind of an ideal platform for such an experiments, because it is inside those ionosphere and it can have a proper look at it. So this will measure the density of ionosphere, as well as uh, uh, this will actually help this accuracy, this to study the plasma density. It will help the accuracy of the satellite navigation systems like GPS and all those things. So ultimately this will also help us uh, you know consumer scale, normal casual citizen scale. So this is also cool. So next one is the better water for explorers, right? So this is they you will be very shocked to know that they were actually using water purifier and sanitization system from back in 2008, and now they are going to replace it. This is a kind of a test um, you know prototype kind of a thing, which will uh, which will have advanced water sanitization and microbial growth reduction methods, and dispenses hot water. And who does not want that, right? Proper water in space. So this is one of those. The next one, this is interesting, because this is going in from the JAXA. So uh, for the JAXA organized a contest named as iSpace Essay, which is going to send a memory card that contains digital works created by the students, such as pictures, poetry, to the space station. More than 13,000 students from 74 schools created digital work for the project. Now, so this is a kind of an outreach activity, but to be a part of something this big, having your whatever art you create going to space, and then maybe they'll have some session also, right? The JAXA astronaut doing some review of some of the pictures and all those things. It will only inspire the kids out there, and finally these are the future scientists that we want, right? So these kind of activities, I love them when this happens in real life, because this is what the future is. And I would really want the other agency. NASA is doing fabulous work in this, JAXA is also pulling in, but ISRO is lacking way behind in this, and I hope they also get this straight and get something about it. So yeah, this is pretty much about the science which is going to space and all those things. Now let's have a look at the video, which will actually summarize the proper science and all those things. So yeah. Discovered about the science, and hopefully you got some understanding about the things happening in space. This is what the intention is. So now let's have a look at the proper mission overview which is going to happen. So this is the NG-19, or you can say the CRS-19 mission, the commercial resupply mission. And also, like this mission, you can see this is one of those times where the Canada arm, right, which is there in is there on ISS, is used to grab onto the spacecraft, and then it is birthed. So it's not docked, basically this is birthed to the International Space Station. So this is, that mechanism is shown over here. So yeah, this is one of those. So um, to summarize it, we have 13,000 pounds of critical cargo supplies and equipments going to the space, and we are having yes, she. So all those missions from Northrop Grumman is a tribute to the past astronauts and all those scientists who have worked very hard and given all their life to the for the betterment of the humanity, and she's one of them. So she is, so this one will be an honor of an individual who has made substantial contribution to the human spaceflight, Dr. Clark, who was an accomplished undersea medical officer and naval flight sergeant. Just a second. Yeah, so she was in the crew of the Space Shuttle Columbia, who unfortunately we know what happened to that, and yeah, she was one of those daredevil who was able to who we were thankful enough so that we learned more about space and all those things. So yeah, this mission is dedicated to her. Let me just quickly run through the mission sequence also. I think the stream has started. So mission sequence will be very, you know, the same thing which we always see. The stage 1 ignition will happen after the 3 seconds or so. The liftoff will happen, the main engine cut off at 3:18, the stage separation will happen, then the fairing separation will happen, then the interstage separation will happen, and then only the stage 2 ignition will happen. This is kind of very different for what we have seen before. So this is good. Now we have just a second. So yeah, so then we have the stage 2 burnout, which will get us to the orbit insertion, then the payload separation will happen, and finally the spacecraft will head to the International Space Station. So it's carrying an ascent cargo of 3729 kilograms, and it will also take cargo from space. So this will not survive the re-entry which will happen from the from the space to the Earth, but this will kind of garbage dump all the garbage which is accumulated on space station. They will put all that into this container, this tin can, and it will take away, and then that garbage will burn up in the atmosphere. So yes, it will have all those things which you are thinking about, and yes, it falls down to on your head also and in the air also. So that is the case. And we have already discussed about this one. So yep, next thing which is very important for you guys is to see the launch view map, which is what you all guys are discussing about right now. So very good to see um, um, guys who are going to see the launch, maybe this one for the final time. So let me quickly go through this one. So the launch site is over here from the Wallops. At 0 to 30 seconds the rocket will be visible, and then at 30 to 60 seconds in this green area, 60 to 90 seconds we can see all those Washington, Richmond, Baltimore, have Dover, Philadelphia, all those places will be visible at 60 to 90 seconds. And after that in Trenton we'll have 90 to 120. Then the blue one we have for 120 to 150 and 150 to 180 at Pittsburgh. So even if you live this far away, you should be able to witness this launch. And we have around 80% probability of good weather conditions, so that is really very good. And yeah, so take a screenshot or something if you live nearby, and accordingly look up in the sky, and you should be able to catch it. So let me just move to the live stream. Okay, Just a second.
And naval flight surgeon prior to her NASA career. During her first and only space flight, CST-107, Dr. Clark and the rest of the crew aboard the Space Shuttle Columbia tragically lost their lives on February 1st, 2003 when the shuttle did not survive re-entry into Earth's atmosphere. Dr. Laurel Clark is remembered by the teams that are supporting this mission from coast to coast. There are 3 operations centers that are watching over the mission today here in Mission Control Houston. The International Space Station Flight Control Room, the destination of the Cygnus, once it separates from the Antares vehicle off of Pad 0A and makes its journey into orbit. We're watching and following along every step of the way. And of course, at the bottom of the screen there, you can see the 2 control centers that are looking after the vehicle you see on the pad at the Wallops Range Control Center. They're watching over the launch of Antares from Pad 0A over at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport. And then, of course, Northrop Grumman's Mission Operations Center in Dulles, Virginia, once Antares delivers Cygnus and the 8,200 pounds of cargo, including science and supplies, into orbit. It's a 9-minute ascent that Antares will take Cygnus into orbit. It'll be the folks you see there on the bottom left taking control of the vehicle
Weather
through
is
the
looking
flight.
kind of good over the launch side, though. Not so sure how is it in your homes. The homes. So all those people. Okay, it's reporting green right now. That is good to hear. So all those people who are going to witness this launch, so good luck to you guys. I hope you will catch this launch. This is kind of an I would say historic one because this rocket has served us a lot. And finally, it's a farewell launch. It's retiring, so we should be there to witness it and celebrate its journey. So I just showed you the view map, and I hope you all guys will be able to see it. And right now we are at around T minus 26 minutes from the launch. Everything is going green. It's kind of an hazy out there, so it's if I'm not wrong, the launch time there is 8 p.m. Eastern. So still at 8 p.m. it's so kind of right. Okay, right now it must be around 7:30, so all right, but at around 8 p.m. it might be a little bit dark, so there would be better visibility for the rocket. Even though it's hazy, nighttime launches are, you can probably see it, so you don't need to worry about it. And yes, I am here with you to explain everything, and I also got you one more present,
The Antares rocket. On top
which
of that
is
the Cygnus vehicle, CRS-19, delivering 8,200 pounds of cargo. Fueling is wrapping up here. By the time we get to T0, it will be completely filled. You can see the LOX venting happening on the side of the vehicle right now. That's the oxidizer. Antares uses RP1 kerosene propellant and the liquid oxygen oxidizer on the first stage. The second stage is a solid rocket motor. So that venting is part of the fueling process, and we'll continue to see that venting, the billowing of the cloudy smoke there on the side of the vehicle throughout the duration of the countdown to T0. Again, we're going down to 8:31 p.m. We're watching all of this from the International Space Station Flight Control Room. You can see it on the center of our screen. We're following along every step of the way, and we will continue to do so throughout the flight of Antares and the flight of Cygnus to the International Space Station. For launch, the teams here in the International Space Station Flight Control Room are led by Flight Director Marcos Flores. During the Orbit 3 shift, Marcos has the responsibility of the International Space Station and overseeing all the operations on board while the crew is in a sleep period. No Capcom today. If the crew needs anything during their sleep period, it'll be Marcos answering the call. The visiting vehicle officer is Ray Bijanes. It is his job here in Mission Control Houston to communicate with the teams that you saw earlier in Dulles, Virginia, the Northrop Grumman teams, and be working with them every step of the way to make sure Cygnus is making its incremental steps to rendezvous with the International Space Station for an on-time launch today. We're looking at a Friday morning rendezvous and berthing to the International Space Station. Ray will be watching the operations here for this leg of the trip.
LC Prop 2 in work.
Now, currently in a sleep period, though they may be waking up. It's midnight GMT aboard the International Space Station, but they could be tuning into this coverage. It is their sleep period, though, so they may be getting some well-deserved rest for the operations to capture and berth the Cygnus to the space station on Friday. From left to right, we have Frank Rubio, NASA astronaut, Dmitry Petelin of Roscosmos, Sultan Al-Nayati of the United Arab Emirates. We have Woody Hoberg there in the center frame, NASA astronaut. Right to his right is NASA astronaut Steve Bowen. Andrei Fedyaev is the Roscosmos cosmonaut to the right of Steve Bowen. And then rounding out the crew, the International Space Station's commander, Sergei Prokopyev. All 7 are on board the International Space Station right now, taken to the space station by a Crew Dragon and a Soyuz vehicle. Of this crew, it will be Woody Hoberg and Frank Rubio to perform the capturing operations for Cygnus on Friday.
Check 38839 and site control, step 391 to go to ARMTEL for rapid retract.
And in work, I'll report back in approximately 10 minutes when it's complete.
Copy that, site control.
LC Ops 1 TVC and EHA buses enabled.
Roger, Ops 1, check 390.
Here you can see a graphic of the Cygnus spacecraft and the Antares launch vehicle in its stacked configuration. Again, Antares is a 2-stage rocket. It's got the liquid oxygen oxidizer and RP-1 kerosene fueled on the first stage. Second stage is a solid rocket motor, and of course Cygnus will be following along. The deployment of those ultraflex solar arrays happens about 2.5 hours after its insertion into orbit. Those will collect the power it needs to fuel its service module for the remainder of its flight to the International Space Station.
We need another minute or two.
All right, guys. So, yep, this is something which I am working on.
Copy that.
Slowly and steadily, all things will be revealed, so you don't have to worry about.
For the Antares 230 Plus, the top of the fairing has a pop-top fairing to allow late loading in this specialized facility here during the phase where the vehicle is horizontal. That pop-top fairing allows for any late loading capabilities. We did get word that the part of the late load was some frozen treats that we tried to poke at what kind of frozen treats, whether it was ice cream or popsicles for the crew. It is a secret for the crew, so that was part of the late loading operations.
Wow. So they literally pop off the fairing to, have some last minute loading.
Controller EPV VREFs has been set.
Copy that. And system, you go for step 399, coordinate final adjustment to payload ECS temp send point, report back when complete.
LC in work.
All right, so yes, guys, we are T-minus 20 minutes from the launch, and things are looking good. And I hope you like the new way of watching this launch. I hope you would what should I say? Enjoy it, yes. And I hope you guys have a better experience of viewing a rocket launch. So right now we are around 20 minutes from the launch.
LC system, countdown 1.
Go ahead, system.
Yeah, LC step 399 complete.
Copy, 399 complete. Launch team, we've just passed L-minus 20 minutes and counting.
It's great.
Okay, you're hearing the countdown net over at Wallops Island from the Wallops Range Control Center, going through the methodic milestones. We're 20 minutes away from launch. Everything's looking good as the vehicle transitions to internal power. While we wait and continue to flow through these milestones, we do have a special guest on the line with us to talk us through some of the things that are happening. First, we have Christina Halona, Antares Systems Engineering Program Manager at Northrop Grumman. Christina, do we have you?
Hi, Gary. Yes, you do have me. Thank you. I'm excited to be here, and many thanks to everyone joining us today to see a successful Antares launch and Cygnus mission to the International Space Station.
Thanks for joining us, Christina. It's been a bit to get this vehicle in its position that we see now. Can you take us through what it took to get Antares into this vertical position, specifically the
Wow,
rollout?
look at those beautiful
Sure.
engines.
This is Northrop Grumman's 19th mission, as you had stated before, and it definitely takes the entire Northrop Grumman team from Chandler, Arizona, and Dulles, Virginia, months and months to get the Antares 230 plus vehicle ready for launch. It definitely starts with the vehicle being manufactured there at the Horizontal Integration Facility, which we call the HIF, at Wallops Flight Facility. And then we roll out the Antares rocket to the Pad 0A. It's definitely a rain or shine event. Thankfully, this week we rolled out Antares to Pad 0A, and where we have several engineers, about 20-ish, 30-ish people from various disciplines, and they all walk with the vehicle from the HIF to the pad. It takes the entire team are looking while they're walking out with the rocket. They're making sure that Antares stays level the entire way. We have a requirement where we have to stay within a 1 degree side-to-side requirement the entire rollout, and the whole process takes about 2 hours for Antares to make the trip from the HIF to the pad. And that's all due to the slow pace of the vehicle taking the vehicle on the truck, and we go a staggering 2 miles per hour. So as you can tell, it's 2 miles per hour is pretty slow. So, but we want to make sure we get it to the pad safely, and once it's there, we undergo some more testing on the vehicle, and then it's eventually loaded and then prepped for launch.
And it certainly did look like a beautiful day. You got really lucky with the rollout there. Awesome to see some of that footage. You know, this is not the first time you've done this, as you mentioned. It's been a while. You're coming up on 10 years since Cygnus's demo mission to the ISS, and more than 10 years since Antares' maiden flight on April 21st, 2013. When you look back at all that's been accomplished over these 10 years, what sticks out to you? You have 16 successful flights. You've been upgrading the Antares incrementally over these years. What really sticks out to you as you reflect on these past 10 years?
The one thing that Northrop Grumman is very happy to share is that Antares has carried approximately 130,000 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station, and our Cygnus spacecrafts in total have hauled away about 91,000 pounds of waste. So, like you said, over the years we've expanded the capabilities of Antares and Cygnus to increase our cargo capabilities. We perform late loads. We also offer reboost services and perform various secondary missions as well. So here at Northrop Grumman, we definitely understand the importance that the resupply missions are not only to NASA, but their astronauts and the critical research that we've done aboard the ISS. You know, there's been so much, advances of technology that have come from their research in space, and we're definitely honored to be a part of it and excited for all the missions to come, and this one for today, for sure.
Very good, and we're hearing some of the milestones in the background. The countdown is continuing. Cygnus's transition to launch mode. We're getting ready to send CRS-19 to the International Space Station, named the SS Laurel Clark. I wonder if this Cygnus, this vehicle, this mission, and the name have any personal significance.
That's under her skirt, and yes, this is. I hope we get to see some views of this cameras also during the launch, so it would be very amazing.
When Dr. Laurel Clark was picked to be an astronaut, and being a Navajo woman and studying aerospace engineering, along with countless other STEM, women around the world who are wanting to pursue their engineering degrees, it was Laurel. She was an astronaut, she was a medical doctor, a U.S. Navy captain, a Space Shuttle Mission specialist, and the thing that was very special to me is that she was also a fellow astronaut Group 16 classmate of one of my mentors, who is a retired astronaut, Dr. John Harrington of the Chickasaw Nation, who was the first Native American in space. So she really had a tight bond with her entire class, and just knowing that cousin really stuck out to me. And it's her incredible accomplished career and passion for the research in space that helped me cement my work in the aerospace industry. And it's been 20 years since Columbia Space Shuttle tragedy.
Yeah, guys, so all of you who are wondering where to see this rocket launch, if you are nearby, let me pull it up real quick. So just have a look at this map and take a screenshot or something, and you can accordingly have a look at around the timestamp. So if you are living in the orange region, then around 150 to 160 after liftoff, you will be able to see the rocket, and accordingly you can have a look and see if you will be able to see this. So you this is a very good view map which you can follow up and have a uh, look at this historic launch.
And I think that special place is shared amongst the teams that are supporting this mission. Christina Helona, thank you so much for joining us for the launch show, and we're continuing down towards the T0 here at 8:31. Thank you for coming on, Christina.
Of course, thank you.
All right, so guys, if you are just joining in, let me tell you, this is the last launch of the Antares 230 plus version rocket, and so they are displaying a wrong countdown timer there. Okay, that's what I saw. 147. No. Okay. Yeah, so I was saying, yes, so this is the
and
last
as mentioned, as we were
launch
talking with
of the
Christina,
Antares 230 plus rocket. After this, she will retire, and the reason is, okay.
On our poll to proceed with final countdown, this is step
look at it then.
414. GSO?
GSO is go.
RSO?
RSO's go.
TD?
TD's go.
Prop lead?
Prop lead's go.
Stage 1.
Stage 1 is go.
MES1?
MES1 is go.
GCE?
GCE is go.
ACE?
ACE is go.
Mars?
Mars is go.
CMD?
CMD go.
LD?
LD is go.
NG?
Northrop Grumman is proud to honor accomplished NASA astronaut, medical doctor, U.S. Navy captain, and Space Shuttle Mission specialist Dr. Laurel Clark. Laurel was a passionate contributor to the space program, improving our understanding of spaceflight effects on the human body. Her crew's successful completion of 80 experiments on the STS-107 mission advanced the bioscience knowledge of plant growth in space. A proud and dedicated wife and mother, Laurel spent most of her free time during the mission conversing with her family. But when she did get time to look out, she described it as glorious. It is therefore an honor to return her legacy to space to once again enjoy the view as the SS Laurel Clark and Northrop Grumman are go for launch.
There you go,
we are going
guys.
to proceed with final countdown. Check step 414.
We
Godspeed, Patrick
are
James.
go for the launch, and that is a really good news coming out from the mission control. Finally, we'll have going to have a farewell launch for this one, this cute little rocket, and yes.
Check your headsets and mics. You might have a hot mic. And the engine evacuation started.
Copy that, Ops 2.
All right.
PLC countdown 1.
Hey, Storm Chaser, how are you? Welcome back.
So in the final 10 minutes of this countdown, we'll be following along through the milestones to get Antares prepared for launch. Some of the ones coming up to listen out for, in particular, at T-5, Antares switches to internal power. Cygnus at this time is switched to its launch mode. T-3 minutes 30 seconds as an auto-sequence handoff, the terminal count. Computers, but at this point, will take over for the final steps through launch. And at T-minus 40 seconds, the tanks are pressurized for engine ignition. At T0, we're tracking down to 8:31 and 14 seconds p.m. Eastern Time.
All right. So yes, I was talking about the farewell launch. So this Antares rocket did support, NASA during its hard time when. So this rocket was actually a part of the commercial resupply mission which NASA proposed for the International Space Station. So because of that, Antares came into existence. The proper use of Antares came into existence, I would say. And this was a very kind of cheap alternative to all those heavy lift launch vehicles which were doing the supply missions to International Space Station before the SpaceX came into existence. So they wanted to have the capability so that the astronauts do not, have a proper shortage of supplies and science over there. So this came into existence. But the problem with this, that thing which you just saw under her skirt, that is supplied by Ukraine. So those are two RD-181 engines, and those are supplied by Ukraine. And you know what is happening in Ukraine right now and Russia. So because of that, obviously there was a very much uncertainty of how the things would work for Antares. And when the war broke out, the first thing came into my mind, ironically, was this only: what is the future of Antares rocket now? But whatever contract they had, they acquired some engines previously only. So this is one of the last set of the engines which is flying, and because of that only they are retiring. Talking about the future of this rocket, so this is not going away. The Antares is not going away. So Antares 230 plus is going away. The new one will come up, which is the Antares 330, and they are actually, the Northrop Grumman has chosen like a Firefly Aerospace, if you know, to continue the Antares legacy, and they are in joint effort to develop fully domestic first stage rather than acquiring it from the Ukraine or some other country. And basically that first stage will also be a part of Northrop Grumman a new project, which is to make medium lift rocket, which is in the development right now, the MLV. And yes, the first stage will feature reusability. The although for the entire, and I think it will run in expendable configuration, but for the MLV it will feature the reusability. So they have taken that into account. So yes, we are hoping for the debut launch of Antares 330 in June 2025, which is 2 years from now. But yes, this is how it is. The mission scheduled at that time will be the NG-23. Right now we are flying with NG-19 mission. So yes, it's kind of hints at an exciting future ahead, and a farewell launch, a good enough service for this entire 230 plus rocket. And hopefully we'll get to see it perform at its very best during its last launch. Go Antares, go NASA.
LC-1 ground ordnance power supplies are nominal. Copy that, LF1, check.
Yes, so if you are just joining in, guys, let me just tell you, this is the Antares, the CRS-19 or NG-19 mission, which is going to the International Space Station, carrying the cargo resupply mission. This is a cargo resupply mission, and the spacecraft which is carrying the cargo is the Cygnus one. And that Cygnus does not have docking capabilities by its own, so it will just park near the International Space Station. And then it will be taken care, it will be birthed with the help of the Canada arm. So it will birth with the ISS. After that, it will do all those science activities and all those things. So there are many science which is going on to space. So yes, this is unmanned, first of all. So everything is looking good, and there is fire experiment which will they literally light fire in space after this after the lifetime of the Cygnus is completed. When it goes out, when it births from the ISS, and they have this neurocell, the new water purification sanitization system, and they are also having some plasma density analyzer. Many sciences there, which I've already talked about in the stream if you are interested in it. So just rewind it after the launch ends and you can have a look at it. So talking about, I'm just going back to the launch view map for the very last time. If you live nearby, guys, take a screenshot or something so that you can have a look at where to witness this launch. Right now we are around T-4 minutes, so all of you living nearby, you can go out and have a look at it, because there might be some delay in the stream, so don't rely on the timer above. You can just start looking at it. So how to read this map: if you live in the pink area, then you can see the launch after the 90 seconds to 120 seconds lift after liftoff. So this is how you should be able to witness it, and it's a very good launch view area it has. So yep, go out and try your luck. You might be able to witness this historic launch for the very last time.
LC MES1, priming verified.
Copy that, MES1. Check step 434.
Okay,
Inside
guys,
4
it's
minutes
happening.
from launch, the team's reporting that the range is green. Antares makes a southeastern track down the eastern seaboard and across the Atlantic. If you're on the East Coast, there are maps that allow for certain visibility of Antares, and in this night sky, you may get a good view, though we are hearing it is a bit hazy on the upper altitudes, so there might be some cloud coverage that prevent sightings, but for those that are close to the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport over on Wallops Island, there may be some sightings through the first leg of ascent.
Not 15 to 20 seconds wildfire. Take a 2-minute buffer with you. So at T-minus 2 minutes, go out and start looking.
LC Elect 1, FC command is in flight mode.
So, and don't worry, guys, about the haze and NASA's coverage, because the animation will go through. You should be able to see in real time what is happening. So you don't have to worry about anything. And yes, just sit back and enjoy this last farewell of the launch. And hopefully this will be a blockbuster for this rocket.
438, 439, and GNC1, verify ready for nav mode.
T-minus 2 minutes, 30 seconds remaining. Looking good.
LC GNC1.
Must say that.
Copy that. Ops 2, switch to nav.
LC Ops 2, switched to nav.
Check 441.
This so Ivan asked, how often does this resupply mission occur? So this occurs actually quite frequently. So there are many resupply spacecrafts which are in service. There is one from JAXA, I think HTV is the name. Then we have the Cygnus spacecraft, and then we have obviously from SpaceX the cargo resupply Dragon, which they use. So yeah, this is quite frequent. Like 2-3 months or so they do a rocket launch. So guys, T-minus 1 minute and 30 seconds remaining.
T-minus 1 minute, 30 seconds.
90 seconds remaining now. Just go out, guys, whosoever is looking in for this launch from their balconies and all. Go out and start looking in at the direction you want to see according to the launch view map. And yes, this is finally happening. Just like this stream and give the best wishes for the Antares, and hopefully we'll have a good view of her going to space for the very last time.
T-minus 1 minute.
60 seconds remaining. Everything is go for the launch. Range is green. Rocket is healthy. And weather is supported. Okay, this is happening finally. T-minus 40 seconds remaining.
T-minus 30 seconds.
T-minus 30. T-minus 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, 15, 14, 13, 12, 11, 10,
T-minus
9,
10.
8, 7, 6, 5, 4,
5, 4,
3,
3,
2,
2, 1.
1. Ignition and liftoff.
Liftoff the Antares NG-19 launch vehicle, all facility.
Whoa.
Antares taking Northrop Grumman's commercial resupply mission 19 into orbit to the International Space Station.
Look at that go. Looks so amazing. Just look at that. That is so cool.
Remains nominal. Last is nominal.
so cool. This is happening finally.
Flight controllers
Wow,
reporting a
look at
nominal
that.
ascent for Antares.
Nominal.
So right now the first stage is burning.
Pressurization
Everything is
nominal.
looking good.
Remain at 100% thrust and steady. Stage 1 TBC is nominal.
Look at that.
Attitude nominal.
Everything is looking nominal. So first stage will burn for around 2 minutes or something.
Vehicle passing through max Q.
Vehicle now passing through max Q.
Max Q is the maximum dynamic pressure experienced on Antares.
Remains nominal.
And yes, the Miko is coming up, and this is. I hope you are liking the animations which is going through.
Nominal.
So, and I
Remain
hope
nominal, steady.
you guys are able to catch it. Whosoever is going to look at from the ground.
Thank you, LCA. Halfway through the burn, 100 seconds to MECO, passing to 30,000 feet.
Attitude nominal.
Attitude remains nominal.
Attitude is nominal, so now we can see the plumes which are extending. It has passed the max Q, which
Engine
means
remains nominal, steady at 100%.
it is structurally structural integrity is
5,000
perfect.
feet per second. Core pressurization remains nominal. Electrical power is nominal.
Everything is looking good. We are T plus 2 minutes 20 seconds remaining. Miko is coming up very soon right now.
TBC remains nominal. Engines remain nominal.
Things are looking good.
Electrical power is nominal.
And
Core position is nominal. We're approximately 40 seconds from MECO.
approximately 40 seconds from Nico. So after the Miko, there won't be a stage
Slow
ignition,
throttle down has
second
begun.
stage ignition, like
Attitude nominal.
TBC
after that
pre-second
only.
fluid started.
It will first of all the
Attitude remains
payload
nominal.
will separate, the
3
interstage will
minutes
separate,
into
and
the
then
flight
the
of Antares,
the
we
second
have
stage
about 15
ignition will
seconds
happen.
until main engine cutoff.
Rapid throttle down. Steady at 55% thrust.
We can't see it, right? But we can see it via animations. We know what is happening right now over there. So the first stage is still firing,
And we have main engine cutoff.
and we have a main engine cutoff. There you go.
Ellis is taking care of business.
We have the separation.
We have stage separation.
We have
Switching to animation with confirmed stage separation as we lose Antares into the clouds on this hazy
now it
evening.
will coast for some time, and after
ISS
that
enabled.
Stage 2 ignition time expected at mission time 2:46.
Yep.
Stage 1 ignition expected in approximately stage 2 ignition expected in approximately 10 seconds.
And we have the
Very separate.
separation and interstage separation. There you go.
Antares currently in a coast phase.
Now the second stage ignition will happen.
Stage 2 ignition and TBC battery.
There you
nominal.
go.
Second stage solid rocket motor has ignited.
Power remains nominal.
The stage will burn for 2 minutes and 44 seconds.
The Caster 30XL will burn for approximately 2.5 minutes.
Thanks, Yang. I
Power
hope
remains nominal.
you I hope you liked the animations and it was helpful.
Stage 2 TBC is nominal.
Flight controllers reporting good performance on the second stage.
So yes, talking about the performance, we can see the graphs. It is looking good.
Power
So
remains nominal.
although there is some anomaly in the orb nav altitude, I think that must be some
TBC remains nominal in stage 2.
just error which it acquired, but it's okay. Now it's the acceleration graph and the velocity is looking good, so things are looking great in that factor. So
We are
yes,
approximately 100 seconds from
those
stage
pulses which you see from the actual rocket animation, those are nothing but the RCS, which is just making sure that the rocket stays on the course and adjust the trajectory accordingly. And since that RCS is firing, we can actually see in the acceleration graph there is some noise which is happening because of that.
nominal.
But yeah, that is how it is. So the second stage basically is the Castor 30 XL solid rocket motor. This is not a liquid fuel engine, which is there in most of the final stages of the rocket. But this is, I think, one of the the last launch which we saw, where the final stage of the rocket was a solid rocket motor. Every final stage of a solid rocket, which means the solid rockets which we have right now, most of them in the final stage we have a velocity trimming module in the Vega, in the PSLV and all those things. So it's kind of very interesting that they are using the Castor 30 XL as the second stage, and that to a solid rocket motor, because they are very inefficient, and in space the liquid fuel engines are highly efficient, and you can actually control it, gimbal it, and basically cut it off if the orbital parameters are achieved. But solid rocket motors, nothing is possible. You have to rely on its performance and all those things. So now there you go, we have the burnout of the
6 minutes, 55
there you go.
seconds into the flight. The second stage solid rocket motor has burned out.
ACS enabled. Or
ACS enabled.
We're now entering about approximately a 2-minute coast phase.
Antares is in orbit and will coast for roughly 100 seconds prior to payload separation.
Okay, so yes, there is, you can see the graph, the acceleration graph has gone down to zero almost now, and whatever noise is happening is because of this RCS, which is making sure the it's facing the right direction. And yes, you can see the total velocity graph is also now constant because the engine is not running. So yes, I was saying this, it's a kind of a very unique rocket, having
7 minutes, 45 seconds into the
first
flight of
the last
Antares.
stage as the rocket,
After
a
spacecraft
solid rocket.
separation, it will take
And
approximately
guys, you might be wondering, like, why didn't they just remove the third stage, this solid rocket motor, from the second, the basically, why don't they just deploy it right now? The reason is, since it's a solid rocket motor, it has a trail of thrust. So what is a trail of thrust? Basically, a solid rocket motor, even though it has burned out, it still has some grains of solids which are still burning and producing some thrust. If you have seen those space shuttle launches, even after their separation, we see some of the flames coming out of the rocket boosters, right? Similar to that happens in this. And because of that trail of thrust, if we just separate it right now, it will just, that stage will just bump back onto the satellite which it is going to place. In this case, it's the Cygnus spacecraft. And since there is no resistance in space, even though a very little thrust will cause the rocket to have a so bump into the Cygnus. And there you go, payload separation confirmed. So that's why they wait for that trail of thrust to just go off, and then they separate it. And there you go. Mission
Cygnus
successful.
has separated from the Antares second stage, flying free and beginning its journey to the International Space Station.
All right, launch team, LC on Countdown Net. We're going to go ahead and proceed with our post-launch checklist. We've confirmed that we've had Cygnus separation. Congratulations to the Cygnus team, and that sound you heard a little earlier was a mic drop.
There you go, guys. Finally, the Antares was successful in deploying the Cygnus spacecraft to space. She
You're
did
getting
her
a live
job.
view of the Wallops Range Control Center. This is the team that was overseeing the launch of Antares from Pad 0A over at the Mid-Atlantic Regional Spaceport. You can actually see in the back row there, International Space Station Program Manager Joel Montalbano, the pink shirt with the red tie, congratulating the teams and overseeing a successful launch of 8,200 pounds of cargo to the International Space Station. Meanwhile, in Dulles, Virginia, the journey has just started for the flight control team over in the Mission Operations Center there. They'll be overseeing Cygnus's journey to the International Space Station over the next few days.
Okay, so you just saw the engine firing also for the Cygnus, right? That is not actually happening. I just saw you how it would happen. So Marcus says, will you show us the docking also? So I
Of course,
think I won't
the
be able to,
operations manual and capabilities on
stream
the
that,
screen here. International Space Station
because
console
dockings are
operating
kind of,
every step of the
not
countdown and
so
Antares
exciting,
flight
I
and
would say.
delivery of
I can go
Cygnus
through
into
all the
orbit.
things which are happening during a
Successful
docking,
delivery
but
from Wallops.
I might just release a
The
video of how it is docked. So
Launch
basically,
team then all
this
shaking hands and
spacecraft will
congratulating each
not be
other. And of
docked
course,
with the International
Northrop
Space
Grumman mission
Station.
operations
This will be
CEO
berthed.
saying Cygnus was
And
flight as
what
well
is
as
the
us
difference
here at
between
the
this
International Space
docking and
Station.
berthing?
To
It's
ensure
simple.
safe
So
landing of the next
docking means the spacecraft
flight
itself will
of
go to the International
Cygnus
Space Station docking
on
compartment, and then
station.
it will itself, open its docking ports and dock with the space station. When it comes to berthing, then Cygnus spacecraft specifically will go near the International Space Station, park over there. Then the Canada arm will come. It will, take this Cygnus spacecraft, attach to it, and then it will attach that Cygnus spacecraft to the International Space Station. This is known as berthing. So here you take the help of the external parameters, external features, application equipments to make sure you actually berth with the International Space Station.
Including science and supplies to the into orbit, and it's on its way to the International Space Station. I'm curious, from your perspective, from the International Space Station program perspective, what are some of the key highlights of science, hardware, something on this vehicle, something on this mission that you're particularly looking forward to arriving at the International Space Station?
Yeah, that's a great question. I think three come to my mind pretty quick. The first would be this is the final iteration of the Sapphire series of spacecraft fire protection experiments, and so that's flying on this flight. That's been a really interesting set of experiments, and we've learned a tremendous amount, to be honest with you. The second, I think, we're flying some neural cells that will be cultured in 3D cell models for gene therapy testing. The experiment is called Neuronics. Gene therapy shows promise, but the 3D models needed to test these therapies do not form in Earth's gravity, so creating these 3D cell cultures in microgravity could provide a critical platform for drug discovery and gene therapy testing, so really, really cool stuff. The last would be we're actually flying a new potable water dispenser. We're actually calling it our Exploration Portable Water Dispenser. It provides hot water and improves sanitation for the crew's use. This will double the number of water dispensers that we have on board and certainly speed up meal preparation, because I think, as you know, and most of our listeners know, because rehydration is required for so many of the crew's meals, having one dispenser, I'm sure, takes a while for meal prep. So I'm sure the crew will be very excited about that.
Yeah, I'm sure if they had any direction into what gets installed first, I'm sure they would choose that one just so they can get a couple of snacks early.
Absolutely.
Jeff, we're coming up on 10 years since Cygnus 1 with Orbital Sciences in September of 2013. When Cygnus berthed first to the International Space Station for a demonstration mission. Now we're 10 years into it. We're talking about the Commercial Resupply Services 19 mission. So if you reflect on the past decade, what can you say about the impact of commercial cargo operations for International Space Station and continuing to support the operations?
Yeah, in a word, I'd say essential. Critically essential. I don't think that's almost redundant, but with the retirement of the Space Shuttle, we lost our capability to resupply
Hey,
the
look
ISS.
at that go
And,
again.
cargo
And actually,
resupply
we
from
just
U.S.
saw
companies.
the Baumgartner effect also, which is kind of, a slight sway of the rocket when it just lifts off from the pad. And it happens because at that point of time, it does not have enough thrust, the velocity in, vertical direction. Because of that, the horizontal wind speed has an effect on it. So the rocket kind of sway a little bit. It's kind of intentional also for this Antares rocket, because it makes sure that they do it this little sway intentionally also for this Antares rocket, so that they make sure that the rocket is away from the launch pad now, slightly away from the launch pad. They have learned basically this from the Cygnus, this Antares blast which happened. One of those of that mission, if I don't remember the name right now, but we all saw that. So yeah, they do that so that the launch pad is safe after that. After that, so yeah.
After today's successful launch and you reflect on the risks of human spaceflight, what can you say about maintaining a level of vigilance and NASA's role in working with private companies?
Also, guys, if you were able to catch this launch live or able to catch some videos, photos, do tag me on Twitter. @RocketGyan is my Twitter handle. We'll check it out after this stream, and we'll see who were able to catch it properly. Some good views of the rocket, and you can just tag me on Twitter. You can have that handle from the description only all itself, and we'll have a look at it after the stream.
We work collaboratively with our commercial partners to ensure the lessons are passed on and openly shared and implemented to ensure our future success in human spaceflight. The other thing I'd add is, following the Columbia accident, NASA formalized an additional level of diligence by defining institutional technical authorities for safety, engineering, and crew health. These senior engineers and doctors work to ensure all concerns are heard and work to resolution, not only for NASA hardware, but in an ever-expanded role to ensure our lessons learned are shared with both our commercial and international partners. You know, what we do is not easy, and yeah, you just got to keep your nose down.
Powerful words, Jeff, and I think it's a testament to the success of this launch. It makes it looks easy that we just lift off the pad and go into orbit, but certainly a lot of work was put into it. Jeff Aaron, thank you so much for joining us for today's coverage and providing these remarks. Appreciate you coming on.
Yeah, thanks so much, Gary. Appreciate it.
That was Jeff Aaron, Manager of Systems Engineering and Integration Office at the International Space Station Program. With that, we will begin concluding our coverage for today's launch. Again, Cygnus is in orbit after a successful orbital insertion by the Antares launch vehicle, and it will make its journey to the International Space Station, rendezvousing Friday for a capture and berthing. You can tune into our coverage then. On Friday morning, we'll begin our coverage at 4:30 a.m. Eastern Time. We're expecting the capture by the robotic arm controlled by Woody Hoberg, the prime robotic arm operator, and backed up by Frank Rubio at 5:55 a.m. Eastern Time, 4:55 a.m. Central Time on Friday, August 4th. Now, since this is a berthing operation, we'll break our coverage and begin the installation coverage at 7:30 a.m. Eastern Time, 6:30 a.m. Central, where Cygnus will be maneuvered by the station's robotic arm and berthed to the Unity port of the International Space Station. This is the center node that is part of the International Space Station and the common home for Cygnus vehicles that arrive aboard the orbiting complex. Now again, we're about to wrap up our television coverage, but stay tuned online for updates on the unfurling of the Ultraflex solar arrays on the Cygnus that will provide power for its journey and arrival at the International Space Station on Friday morning. Now, that will wrap up our coverage here in Mission Control Houston. Thank you for joining us.
All right, that was an amazing one. Finally, we were able to see some farewell launch of the Antares rocket, and it was amazing. And guys, all of you who are like talking about you weren't able to see it, so this was the launch view map. And if you lived in Virginia, you should be able to see it within 30 seconds or something. Maybe the clouds are a little bit haze was there, but still it was a night launch. You should be able to see the rocket which was going out there. There was so much fire, you know. Maybe you did not have a proper, what should I say, you did not, guys, whosoever missed, maybe it was because of the clouds, or because you were looking at the different direction, or because you were looking at a right direction but not at the right time. So many things are there, so I hope that answers the question. Okay, let me just so see whether we got something. Yeah, there was some clouds only this time. Did we get any views from the people who witnessed the launch? Hey, you go, Ocean City, New Jersey. Got some views from there. And yeah, there you go. We have some views from Chesapeake. I hope Chesapeake. I hope I'm pronouncing that all right. Yes, this you think so, but will it Not sure. Not sure though. And yes, there you go. People are trying. People actually got it in the sky. There you go. One. So this was kind of, these all guys were out there on the beaches and still kind of hazy only, but still were able to catch it. So it's good for them to do. Ocean City. Look at that. This view is amazing. Child. This is a great photo, actually. Child looking at the skies, watching a rocket go into space, thinking about his own dreams, becoming astronauts in future, or working in NASA and space, and just this picture is very inspiring. This is a very good photo, actually. To be honest, really like it. What about you guys? You, if you have, guys, I'm just looking in the all the things which people have captured. So if you all guys have something, just tag me at the Red Rocket Gyan, and we should be able to see it in the live in the stream right now, so that would be great. Okay, yeah, I think that's it. So we have a video, I guess. Hey, there you go. People caught it from Warren. Okay, nice one. You can actually see the rocket with that plume which is expanding, and since the third sorry, the upper stage was kind of the this one the solid rocket, so because of that the visibility improves because the impurities are there and that scatters the light and the visibility improves, so it's kind of good that we're able to see that. And we have certainly from one another, and it's from, not sure what this is, North Carolina. I'm not sure. Saw it from Coney Island, New York, and Barrington. There you go, one more from Barrington. You can see this. So this one I think is this is the actual rocket. This one is the rocket. Sorry, the plane which was following it. So in these type of launching, there is always one plane which tracks the rocket and is flying nearby only, so that it is able to track the status, the infrared images, the videos, infrared videos and all. So I think that is that. This is the NASA jet which always fly with these missions. RI's Rhode Island. Oh, from New Jersey, but I think this is, people are getting confused again. This is uh, from that plane only. End of an Antares era. Yep. It's not the end actually. It's the new beginning, I would say. End of an Antares 230 plus rocket for sure, but 330 is in the making, and by June 2025, 2 years from now, we shall be seeing the new baby come out and deliver the same thing which her the older sister, I would say, was doing. Saw it here in South Jersey. Yeah, there are so much clouds out there, but we're able to 8:35 p.m. Connecticut. Nothing. Hmm. See this. We just have to look at the right direction also. Some. Hey, yeah, there you go from Dartmouth. Good views out there from Dartmouth also. And this is the, or maybe this is the actual rocket also. Not so because the no. This actually the first stage was the this one only, right? The liquid fuel engine. So they cannot have this much of a trail. Hey, we have the cat You knew the cat watching on the computer while a human was outside trying to see the launch from the Philly. Hey, finally, the cats are also getting interested. Well, that's a warning sign for us. They just conquer everything, right? Once they uh, reach the space sector, also they would not. They will just conquer their territory, and then we are just there in the in. Right now, only we are living in their world, right? So yeah. Again, New Heaven. People were able to watch it. That is a great sign. So many pictures coming out. There you go. One of the guys got a professional camera out there. It was also a very nice picture, right? Ignition. So actually, if you just noticed it correctly, at T0 it does not lift off. It actually lifts off at T plus 3.7 seconds or something, because the engines come to full thrust, and then thus this clamp, hold down clamps are released so that the rocket is lifted off. We have from Connecticut here. I think again that only. Yeah, that should be it. So if you have any questions, guys, you can ask me. Otherwise, we can end the stream. So a fun fact is ASA techniques. Let me tell you that this rocket used not the Russian but the Ukraine engines, first of all, and then we also have uh, they are retiring this one, and a new one is coming up, the 330 Antares, and that is fully domestically produced, first stage in collaboration. So Northrop Grumman is working with the Firefly Aerospace manufacture that. See that one flying in. Yeah, you're living in good times. So guys, I think that should be at 6:30 a.m. over here, and I haven't slept all overnight. I have work tomorrow. I have to wake up at around 9 or 10. So if you did like the stream, do give it a thumbs up. It really helps me as well as the YouTube to make sure this awesome message which I'm trying to spread about the rocket launches, the space sector itself as a whole, how cool it is, and we should all be looking at it. It just helps on that. So, and there are many things which are planned on this channel. So just tune in for that. Just wait. Everything will be revealed slowly and steadily. So I hope you like the new format, and yeah, um, that should be it. Thank you so much for tuning in, guys. And if you want to support me, you can do that by becoming a member. That really helps in the funding and all those things which I do, not sleeping and doing all those things, waking up till late night. And most of in the time zone in which I live in, most of the US launches happen in the night for me, 4 a.m., 5 a.m., 6 a.m. I make sure I do it because I love to do this stuff. So and it's not possible without you. So guys, thank you so much for all of your support. Again, thank you so much for all the Patreons and all the members. I just can't thank you enough, especially John and the Google account, which they have constantly supported me from very long. And this, where I am, wherever I am right now, is because of them. So, and Louis Smith also one of my first Patreon. So thank you so much, Louis. Um, and I hope you liked it, and we will meet very soon with which launch. Let me see that also. The next launch is from the Long March, but we obviously will be able to see Galaxy 37 from on 3rd of August is coming in from SpaceX. 3rd August, what's the time? It's 9:45 to 11:40. I'll try to stream that also. I'm able to. But yes, that is the one. And then another is the Rocket Labs launch, which is on 4th of August. 4th of August, 10:30 to 12:30. Okay. This actually, these two launches clashes with my office work, but I'll try to do something. I'm also thinking about doing something about this also when I'm not in office till the stream continues. I'm trying to do something about it. Let's see if I am able to achieve it or not. They're going in the background, so don't you worry about it. It will slowly reveal. So thank you so much for tuning in, guys. I hope you had a great time, and yes, she has done its job. She has officially retired now, and we shall see in 2 years from now what her younger sister is capable of. Thank you so much for tuning in. Until then, this is Priyanshu Roila. You just saw Rocket Gyan. Stay safe, stay healthy, and bye bye.